Donald Trump and Governor Abbott and local officials in Texas can point the fingers all they want at each other and or blame reporters for asking hard questions, but several hundred people died that shouldn't have in an avoidable tragedy, that the Texas flood disaster, the Guadalupe River disaster, including a lot of little girls who were at a Christian summer camp. But where this is really going to play out is not in the political sphere, not in the finger pointing, not in the social media post by Donald Trump, not in him attacking the media. It's going to play out in the courts of law. And where else to find out how this will play out in terms of a liability case, who's going to be sued, where the insurance is going to come from, what kind of claims are there out there, and how you can defeat something called sovereign immunity, than to hear Ben Meiselas and me. I'm a practicing lawyer for 35 years. He practiced for almost 20 years. He's a law professor. We talk about, in the real world, what's going to happen in the court systems on Legal AF, the podcast. Take a listen.
I want to briefly address how I and you would approach a legal case in Texas and how we would kind of look at it. Not practicing in Texas, but I handled a lot of cases against, when I did practice, the county and city in Los Angeles, that involved dangerous conditions. I once handled a very tragic case involving a father and a young girl. The father lost his life saving the young girl. There was supposed to be a stop sign at an intersection, and a car that would roll through this dangerous intersection hit the father. And one of the things that we uncovered in discovery is that there was supposed to be a stop sign there. And what happened was the person in charge of it was actually deployed overseas, and they just literally forgot to put the person to install the stop sign afterwards. And so that person left. 2 years passed. We got the emails in discovery, and there was literally an email where someone was like, "Oh shit, we forgot the stop sign." And after that, they had to settle that case. That was a more complicated case, I think, than this. I mean, in terms of the duty, breach of duty, causation, and damages, that would be your analysis for negligence here. I think it was even more than negligence. I think that this was a recklessness and a maliciousness bordering on, the most significant to punitive damages. But Popok, you have this camp that's built in an area where already it should not be built. It should not be built in a flood corridor where that this is the most dangerous river, one of the most dangerous rivers that exist. Then at the county and city level, they took the money that Biden gave them in the American Recovery Act, like $10 million, that was supposed to go to alarm and warning systems, and they took it to give themselves bonuses and to pay themselves more money. Instead of do what they were supposed to do, because they said warning system was communist and woke. There's actually transcripts from the county hearings where, and by the way, the people in the county would say, "Yeah, we don't want that woke stuff." And then the judges who lead that county are like, "Yeah, but we'll just take the money for ourselves. What are we going to, let's consult John Cornyn, the lawyer, the senator from Texas." And then Cornyn told them, "Yeah, just take the money," or whatever. So you have all of that. You have the county not activating. They still had access to do a cell phone warning. They did not activate that. We know that at the federal level that they didn't do the urban search and rescue for 72.
They were on notice since 1987 when those 10 girls died in the bus in the same region from a flood because the river rose at that time.
To me, I believe there's going to be lots of lawsuits that are going to be filed over this. I think it's just a matter of time. What do you think, Popok?
No, I totally agree with you. It's funny, it's not funny. You and I have a very similar practice. I had a very similar case where about a child who was impaled off of a guardrail and the screw ups that were related to that. It is harder to sue a state and a municipality and a government entity because of some aspects of sovereign immunity, but not impossible. You have to go through that process. A lot of states will then require you to go to the legislature and get what's called a special claims bill. That's what we had to do in Florida in order to compensate for that. But usually there's so much public pressure related to these cases where these horrific things have happened. Like we left out one terrible fact. not only were the cabins of at that camp, and hundreds of other people died. I don't know, only want to focus on the little girls at a Christian camp who died, but the fact that they allowed the youngest girls, who were 8, were at the cabin that was closest to the river, and the older girls were up on that, whatever you called it, Holy Hill or whatever it was. So they were actually, in a perverse way, doomed to die if that river rose as quickly as it did, the youngest, which is just sad in so many different ways. And then hundreds, and we've all seen the pictures now. We've read the stories of people leaving text messages and voicemail messages for their loved ones with the water rising in the background before them. And this was very, very simple. This isn't woke. This isn't DEI. This is health and public safety, life, health, and safety, which is the only reason, and I have a fair amount of municipal government experience, this is the only reason that government exists, is supposed to fundamentally be able to protect life, health, and safety of its residents. If it can't do that fundamental thing, it should be disbanded, and the state should take it over. Except in Texas, I don't think that helps you, because I think the state is also equally backwards when it comes to protecting people. So it's simple. You live in a river area, you live on a fault line for an earthquake, you live in an area like in Florida that has hurricanes, and you don't have things that help your people in time of distress, then you are negligent or reckless or criminally negligent if the things that you just identified come out in the lawsuit, which obviously they would, about, we'll take the money and we, F Biden, let's go Brandon, who cares? And then here's the ramifications of it. This was a simple fix. They did not, this is the sad part. We watched what happened in New Orleans with the wipeout of the parishes in New Orleans, mainly Black parishes in New Orleans, and things that were done after that to avoid the death and destruction that happened after Hurricane Katrina. That got taken seriously. Texas, it's been 40 years since those other little girls died about the same thing. And so that's why I think you're right. It rises to the level of recklessness. So you file the lawsuit. I'm sure it's coming. You file the lawsuit against everybody that has responsibility, from the state to the federal to the local to the camp, and I know that one of the owners died, but there's stacks of insurance that go along with this. Listen, I was tangentially involved with the collapse of that tower in Florida, and over $1 billion, hundreds of people died in that collapse of that condo on the beach in Florida, in Miami Beach, and billions of dollars were collected in insurance and paid out to the families related to that. And so that was a private entity, but there were county liability, there was state inspection liability, there was a lot of finger pointing. More importantly, there was a lot of insurance that goes around that. And then if it comes down to sovereign immunity and they want to stand up and say, you can't sue us because we're sovereign, then let's see what happens at the polls and with the legislature, who would be able to waive sovereign immunity under those circumstances and give those 300 families or whatever it is, you'll never get back what they lost. The people, the loved ones, the grandparents, the parents, the children, no. But to give them some solace, something to compensate them in some small way for their loss. Welcome back. That was the Legal AF podcast. We do a full-length version. That was a clip about an hour long every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. On Wednesdays, I do it with Karen Friedman-Agnifilo. On Saturdays, with my co-founder, Ben Meiselas. And if you like that kind of work, if you know everything you need to know about us, that's great. We do have an audio version that needs a little love, a little oxygen. Come over, plug in Legal AF wherever you get your audio downloads, and get that. Watch it on YouTube, listen to it on audio, let your friends know about it, invite them to join us. All very, very helpful. We also have a Legal AF YouTube channel that we formed, so you can geek out on all things law and politics. Brand new videos every day, sometimes 10 to 12 videos a day on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Come over there, hit the free subscribe button. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touches Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event, by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.